Thursday Night Football to open up the NFL season. 1-year deal worth up to $9 million. Adam Schefter was the first to put it out. He is not only not returning to the Detroit Lions, but he is moving on to probably their biggest rival in the NFC. And this is beyond frustrating, as it should be for Lions fans.
Finally, fantastic news for Eagle admirers. The team just landed 3-time Pro Bowler Zadarius Smith on a 1-year deal worth up to $9 million. The timing couldn't be better, as it came right after a Week 1 win over Dallas. On top of that, Saquon Barkley hit the field with the NFL's brand new gold shield patch. That's an honor reserved for last season's award winners. And while the league is still buzzing about the Jalen Carter incident, today the spotlight goes back to Philly's defense.
No sacks in the opener. First time since 2003, Eagles didn't have a sack on opening day. They need some help there, and you would think Zadarius Smith can be that help.
Yeah, they got close a little bit in that opener. Did not get Dak to the ground. So Zadarius Smith will turn 33 on September 8th. He has a birthday coming up. He will be the oldest defensive player on this roster. Agbo Okoronkwo right now has that mantle. He is 30 years old. So Smith is an older player, but has been productive. 69 career sacks, a 3-time Pro Bowler. Was productive just last year. Had 9 sacks in his time split between the Browns and then the Lions. So I think there's at least a reasonable expectation that he'll be able to get here and at least help.
Honestly, the timing of Zadarius Smith's arrival could hardly be more telling. You see, his signing comes directly on the heels of Philadelphia's season opener, where a 24-20 win over the Dallas Cowboys exposed as many concerns as it did strengths. The Eagles pocketed victory, but the defensive front couldn't impose the expected and usual dominance. That kind of production is well below expectations for a team that has built its identity on vigorous defensive pressure. It quickly raised questions about depth, especially after the off-season departures of veterans like Brandon Graham and Josh Sweat. Smith's addition is seemingly a response to those doubts. At least most media outlets claim so. However, the concerns weren't limited to the defensive line. Cornerback Adoree Jackson delivered an uneven performance in his debut. He gave up 103 receiving yards and later graded himself a C put together. The opener showed a defense missing its edge, literally and figuratively. That's why the Eagles moved quickly to inject Smith into the lineup.
For this team, it is. You look at Jalen Hunt and you look at Nolan Smith, even Josh Uche, like they're a little on the smaller side. To me, Zadarius Smith is more kind of in the body mold of a Josh Sweat by the end of his time here. Someone who you feel like Nolan obviously holds up well against the run because he plays such a physical brand of football. But the natural size here for Zadarius Smith is interesting to me. I think he fits a role that this team was kind of missing.
The Eagles turned to Zadarius Smith because they needed help right away. Week 1 showed how much the defense has changed since last season. The pressure that usually defines this team wasn't there. Smith has built his career on getting the quarterbacks in different systems. He's played standing up, he's played with his hand down, and he's even moved inside on passing downs. That gives Vic Fangio more choices when drawn up looks. Instead of relying on young players to figure it out in real time, the staff now has a veteran who has seen most blocking schemes before. Production is part of the appeal, but so is experience. Smith has been through playoff runs in multiple cities. He knows what it takes to prepare week after week. For a roster adjusting to life without Brandon Graham, that voice carries weight. This deal also shows the front office isn't waiting to see if things improve on their own. The team made a move quickly before one bad performance became a trend. Smith steps into a rotation that needs another steady presence, and the timing makes it clear that Philadelphia sees him as an answer.
Well, I think once he gets into it, yeah, he'll be the starter, as long as he's healthy and he's got a semblance of what he has in his career. I mean, yeah, he's going to be, I would say by the second half of the season, if everything works out the plan, he's going to be the starter opposite Nolan Smith, and then Jalix will be the number 3, which is probably the role he should be in this year. And then you're pretty good with Uche as your 4. So if this hits, this makes them, I would say, a much better team, to be honest.
Reaction to the Eagles signing Zadarius Smith has been optimistic in many cases. After a win over Dallas, where the pass rush failed to record a sack, the addition of a proven rusher was welcomed across local outlets and fan discussion. Media outlets pointed out that Philadelphia didn't wait for problems to pile up. They addressed a weakness immediately, something not every front office is willing to do in September. Fans on radio call-ins and social media described the deal as overdue rather than unexpected. Many pointed to the fact that Brandon Graham is gone and Josh Sweat is elsewhere, which leaves obvious holes in the rotation. There were measured voices too. Some analysts noted Smith's age, 32, and questioned how many snaps he can realistically handle each week. Others pointed to his recent movement between Cleveland and Detroit as a sign that consistency might be an issue. Even so, the general agreement is that Philadelphia is stronger today than it was before the move. So yes, this signing matched the tone perfectly.
Especially opening night, banner night, every camera in the world is going to be on Dak Prescott, especially you, Jalen Carter. You are the guy for this Philadelphia Eagles defense and have become that. I think everybody that's ever played football, as somebody's dropping something, AJ, please don't break my shit back there. Please, please. There's a lot of things in a lot of places. Please don't do that. But Jalen Carter, I don't think you can do that. And hopefully this is a moment, and I think his shirt said first year being rich afterwards. Whenever he gave his interview, that was what he wore.
Philadelphia's roster moves this week go beyond adding Zadarius Smith. Defensive tackle Jalen Carter is under review by the league after his ejection against Dallas for spitting toward Dak Prescott. Similar incidents in past seasons have led to fines, and there is discussion that a suspension could follow. If that happens, the defensive line rotation would be stretched, which makes the Smith signing even more significant. The secondary also drew attention after the opener. Cornerback Adoree Jackson gave up over 100 receiving yards in his first game with the team. He later described his performance as below standard and said he expects improvement. There was positive energy on the offensive side. Saquon Barkley wore the league's new gold shield patch. Notably, it's awarded to players who earned big honors last season. Barkley received his after being named Offensive Player of the Year. It was a reminder of the caliber of talent already in the locker room. All of these storylines frame why Philadelphia acted quickly. Smith's arrival strengthens a defense that needed immediate reinforcement. Philadelphia adjusted his roster almost immediately after announcing the Smith signing. Offensive lineman Kenyon Green was waived to create an opening on the 53-man squad. He had only recently secured a spot, but the staff opted to sacrifice developmental depth to make room for a player they expect to contribute right away.
Meantime, while you're watching this replay, a penalty flag has gone down, and Van Sumeren right away on the plant grabbed that leg and went to the ground. So I mentioned the flag.
The week also brought a setback on special teams. Fullback Ben Van Sumeren went down on the very first kickoff against Dallas with a torn patella tendon. Tests confirmed he will miss the remainder of the season. Van Sumeren's role stretched beyond short yardage snaps. He was trusted heavily in coverage and blocking units. Losing him strips the roster of a versatile contributor, and it pushes the front office to rework its numbers sooner than expected. Smith's arrival can't erase those losses, but it balances the equation in an important way. Philadelphia has already shown it will act quickly when the roster takes a hit. Waiving Green and moving Van Samarin to injured reserve cleared the path for Smith, and that sequence reflects how aggressively the franchise is managing the season's opening weeks. Another storyline from Week 1 involves the offensive line. Pro Bowl guard Landon Dickerson left the game against Dallas with back discomfort. It's the same problem that limited him during training camp and even made him sit out portions of practice in late August. The timing of the flare-up couldn't be worse. Dickerson has become a cornerstone of the line since arriving in Philadelphia, and he anchors a unit that is tied to the team's identity. The Eagles rely on their offensive front to open running lanes for Saquon Barkley and to protect Jalen Hurts in passing downs. Any question about his availability changes how the entire offense operates. Coaches haven't committed to a recovery timeline yet, but the concern is obvious.
Confirms to CBS News Philadelphia that Pro Bowl guard Landon Dickerson, who suffered a meniscus injury last night, is having what is considered minor knee surgery sometime in the next few days. He was injured last night and helped off the field during the Eagles' practice open game at the Link. The goal at this point, we are told, is for Dickerson to hopefully be ready for the start of the season on September 4th. So that is pretty good news. We had talked to orthopedic surgeon Art Bartolozzi, who said if he needed this minor surgery, arthroscopic, that he could be back in a couple of weeks.
Back issues can linger, and this is not the first time he has been slowed by it. If the problem continues, the Eagles will need to shuffle their interior line, possibly leaning on depth options who haven't faced that kind of pressure before. Injuries on the line tend to ripple across the roster. They test depth, alter play calling, and challenge chemistry. That's why Dickerson's health will remain one of the most important storylines as the season unfolds. Philadelphia's offseason also brought significant changes to the staff. The most visible move was the promotion of Kevin Patullo to offensive coordinator. He had been working as the passing game coordinator, and his elevation followed the departure of Kellen Moore, who accepted the head coaching job in New Orleans. Patullo's promotion keeps continuity for the offense while still marking a new chapter in leadership.
Yeah, I think really when you game plan and stuff like that, it's all about just kind of seeing what's happening and letting him play and be efficient. Each game is different, going into it. You think you're going to get one thing, you may get another. So in game, you got to make those adjustments and kind of just let it play out. So you don't ever want to stress anything like that too much, because then you can create bad habits, obviously. And we were pretty efficient for the most part, and he did a good job. So, you really just want to look at how do we stay on track and advance the ball and do what we need to. So as long as that continues, that's kind of the goal. But obviously, if you do get an opportunity, we'd love to take that.
To replace Patullo's former role, the team elevated Parks Frazier to passing game coordinator. Frazier has experience in both play design and quarterback preparation, making him a natural fit for the adjustment. The combination of Patullo and Frazier means the offensive structure remains familiar to the roster, which reduces the learning curve at the start of the season. The Eagles also added Scott Loeffler as quarterback's coach, a position that becomes even more important with Jalen Hurts at the center of the franchise. On defense, Tyler Yelk was promoted to defensive assistant after working in support roles last season. The staff also brought in Greg Austin and Montgomery Van Gorder to handle specific positional duties. Instead of sweeping changes, the Eagles focused on smaller adjustments that give Fangio more help day to day. On the other end of the spectrum, the Smith deal was quick, but it wasn't the only move discussed inside league circles. Multiple reports confirmed that Philadelphia placed the strongest trade offer on the table for Micah Parsons before the season. The package included 2 first-round picks along with additional selections. No team offered more, but Dallas refused to send its best player to a division rival.
Well, I don't know if they would have gotten 3 ones, Pat, but I think at that moment you make a request for one more pick. The way that somebody explained it to me was I would have asked for a 3rd. And I think that that's plausible. You want to ask for something, but not a ridiculous amount. You have the trade in play. Hey, guys, to close, I need another 3. I'm talking about my people. Just throw in another 3,
Mr.
and we'll
Pam.
close it out. Mike is yours.
Okay, so there was also a report that another team was involved. I think that was that you that reported that? I'm not 100% sure. And it was the Eagles. Howie calls in and goes, hey, heard you have a problem over there? Didn't know if you wanted to trade them in a division. Is that real?
That pursuit puts the Smith signing into sharper context. The front office literally wanted a game changer. Parsons would have filled that role instantly, but the Cowboys closed the door. Even so, the offer shows how serious the Eagles are about finding answers on the edge. So Parsons is out of reach, and Smith becomes the immediate solution. He can step in right away while the staff continues to weigh longer-term options. The failed trade won't disappear as a story because it reveals Philadelphia's level of urgency and the limits of dealing within the NFC East.
Have won Super Bowl 59. What a game. What a season. What a team. The greatest Eagles team in modern history. Eagles fans savor it and rejoice.
Anytime you lose a Super Bowl, it's the worst feeling in the world. They'll stick with you the rest of your career.
Everything that's been accomplished to this point, it's great, but there's a desire to achieve more, and it's only intensified.
As the pressure gets higher, you don't rise to the occasion. You fall back to your habits and your training.
Hurts. He is going deep, and it is caught.
I love when they doubt you.
For the second time, the Vince Lombardi Trophy is headed to Philadelphia. Eagles fly in Super Bowl 59.
Next up is a Week 2 showdown that already has fans talking. The Eagles hit the road for a Super Bowl 59 rematch against the Chiefs in Kansas City. It's set for Sunday, September 14th, with kickoff at 4:25 p.m. Eastern, broadcast on FOX. Kansas City is opening as a 1.5-point underdog at home, which is a rare tag that shows just how closely matched this game already feels. The game environment isn't merely talk. In KC, the weather looks tame for mid-September. That said, afternoon temps in the upper 70s to low 80s with light clouds likely. That's what we call perfect football conditions, so no room for excuses there. The Eagles come in with skins on their back swagger after a gritty win over Dallas and a splash signing Smith. The Chiefs, meanwhile, are still shaking off their own opening loss and trying to reset their rhythm under pressure. If Philly wants to prove their Week 1 wasn't a fluke, this is the proving ground. Arrowhead's raucous crowd and Patrick Mahomes aren't a welcome mat, but a gauntlet. And with mirrors to that big game fresh in everyone's memory, this one carries early season weight beyond just the win column. Coverage of the Eagles has also stretched beyond the field. During NBC's Week 1 broadcast, producers leaned into the national curiosity around Philadelphia's short yardage push play. They brought in Huda Mustafa to explain the technique, who's known from Love Island. Mustafa's segment was lighthearted, but also explained the mechanics of the push in plain language, drawing attention on social media.
Hurts on the sneak. Pyle drives his way in. Touchdown.
We heard a few cadences in there to make sure the Chiefs didn't jump in, and this play's been virtually unstoppable. And we asked some of the Chiefs players this week, how do you stop that play? Chris Jones, you see that technique. He was trying to just throw his back into the...
That moment showed how the Eagles' identity has crossed into mainstream culture. The push has been debated in league meetings and by rival coaches for more than a year, but putting it in front of a broader audience turned it into a conversation piece for casual viewers. The play is just another tool for players and staff. On the other hand, for networks, it's a chance to grab attention with something recognizable to non-football fans. It may feel like a side note, but these broadcast touches matter because they shape how the team is perceived nationally. This turns even more crucial in weeks where Philadelphia headlines stretch from player discipline to roster additions. Heading into the Chiefs game, the Eagles are preparing for a tough opponent while handling a spotlight that extends well beyond the field. The Eagles move fast, and that says plenty. Smith gives them a proven pass rusher, and he arrives right when needed most. Between Carter's situation and Dickerson's back, there's no shortage of storylines in Philly. Think this move fixes the issue or just buys time? Subscribe now and stay with us as the season unfolds.